Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on transforming results in retail. My name's James Sharp. I'm the Managing Director here at Qlik UK, and I'm joined today by Steph Canello from the Netherlands, Managing Director in the Netherlands, Gareth Wilson, our Senior BI Consultant here at Qlik, who's spent over 9 years, I think, now working at Wilco and remains at Wilco through Qlik currently. Scott Wilkinson from Qlik, our partner enablement contact there at Qlik, who's got experience within retail and all sorts of different industries at Qlik. Maurice from ASICS, head of BI, who's been working with Qlik in the Netherlands for I think probably close to 10 years now. And Ronan from Monnik Dranken, who's going to talk to us about the use of Qlik in his organisation from a supplier and a supply chain perspective. So before we get into the real content on retail, I just wanted to let you know about Qlik for those of you that don't know Qlik already. So we were founded in 2007 in Sweden. We've got a number of offices across Europe now, namely Finland, Netherlands, UK, and our head office remaining in Sweden. We're a Qlik Elite partner, which means we have hundreds of certifications across the technical team, with probably more than 85 now BI specialists that work within the business. So we do everything from advisory, technical development, solution development. We can host people's Qlik environments for them. We have support contracts where we have our expert services team there ready to take to answer any of your questions on support aspects and that kind of thing. And at the heart of it, we focus on data and BI, and as I say, Qlik is one of our key products that we're focused on. So that's just a very quick snapshot on who Qlik are. So today, as I say, we'll be covering retail, and the first aspect that Gareth is going to cover for us with his experience working there at Wilco is the on-shelf availability and this concept of the scanning of the gap, so the gap that we see on shelves, and what can a retailer do to improve customer experience by understanding what they're going to do with those gaps. And of course, when you scan the gap, you have a dilemma: do we have more product to put on the shelf, or is this an ordering of new product and being aware of the deliveries that may be already in train, so we can address those gaps? And that has a perfect thread back to the supplier. And the supplier today is going to be Ronan, talking about how they manage their supply, the demand on from retailers and other outlets of their products for beverages that they sell. We'll be looking at material availability issues that they may face from a supplier perspective. And of course, this all has a beautiful golden thread back to the positive experience for the customer, which is what we're looking for, minimizing those gaps on the shelf, or where there are gaps that we're providing insight to when those gaps might be filled, or we're providing suitable alternatives to go onto those shelves. So there's a number of challenges currently facing retailers over recent years, and they're all too raw and familiar with us, such as the coronavirus, the war in Ukraine, the energy crisis that we're in, etc. And there's numerous different articles about Tesco's, Aldi's that are rationing salad ingredients and things like that. And I know Ronan, again, from the issues they have supply problems due to the war in Ukraine. So we've got first-hand experience here where a supplier is having those challenges. So hopefully you've all found your way around the GoToWebinar tool. There is a chat function and a Q&A function in there. Please do submit any questions as we go through the webinar. At the end of the webinar, so we'll firstly go to Gareth for a few slides and a demo. That will then pass on to Ronan to hear about the Monnik Dranken and how they're using Qlik in their organisation. And then Steph from the Netherlands will be chairing the panel discussion. We'll have Maurice from ASICS, Scott, Gareth again, and Ronan answering any questions that you may have. So please do fire those questions in, and we'll address those all at the end as part of that panel discussion. So on that note, Gareth, I will hand over to you. I will, you'll hopefully become the presenter in a second and be able to share your screen.
Thank you, James, and thank you for joining us today for this webinar. In this section, I'd like to talk to you about how we can use Qlik to streamline the in-store gap scan process and how to use AutoML to predict sales based on weather data. So anybody resident to the UK will see the familiar sight on the right with the gaps and empty shelves in shops and supermarkets across the country recently. Some of these gaps can be directly attributed to an inaccurate stock file. Stock file accuracy is crucial for any retail operation as it directly affects customer satisfaction, profitability, and operational efficiency. The stock file is a database containing all the information about a retailer's inventory, including stock levels and prices in individual stores. Accurate stock files help retailers make informed decisions about inventory management, purchasing, and replenishment. Inaccurate stock files can result in frustrated customers and lost sales. Ultimately, maintaining stock file accuracy is essential for all retail business to ensure that they meet their customers' needs. Today, we're going to focus on how Qlik can help automate the efficiency of the gap scan process. The gap scan process is essential for ensuring that all products are on your shelves when the customers want them. However, it can be time-consuming and error-prone if done manually. In the process, a team member will walk around the store and scan the gaps on the shelves before store opening. This data is then sent back to a central database. Qlik can help streamline the gap scan process by automating the data collection and analysis, bringing together data from different systems and data sources, and providing insight to managers to make decisions to help increase the sales and make sure that the right product is on the shelf when the customers want it to be. The three main metrics we can derive from the gap scan process are gaps with stock. So this is where a gap has been scanned, but the central stock file advises that the store does in fact have stock, possibly in the back warehouse. Stock seasonally exhausted. So this is where stock is no longer in season. An example would be advent calendars. So our manager can make the decision to put another product in its place. And lastly, we have agreed zeros. So this is where the stock file agrees that there is no stock in the store, but we can provide extra insight to the store manager to help them make a decision on what to do with that gap and if the product is actually on transit in the next delivery. So this is an example of a gap scan process. So the team member scans the gap and the data is sent back to a central database and made available for Qlik to load. Qlik also loads data from different sources. In this example, we load the images of the shelves or the planograms from the central planning application, an example of which would be Blue Yonder. This dictates what the shelf should look like. Qlik also loads data for the central stock file from the ERP system. There is also an overnight process which loads historic sales and weather data into AutoML and provides the following day's sales predictions. This is a trained machine learning model using sales data from the ERP system and weather data from an API. Qlik sits central to all of these systems and brings all this data together and provides availability insight to merchandising teams, store managers, and even to suppliers. So Qlik AutoML, predicting sales. So Qlik AutoML is a no-code automated machine learning offer from Qlik. Predicting sales can be challenging, especially when there are many variables to consider, such as the weather. However, by using AutoML with Qlik, we can easily predict sales based on weather data. AutoML can automatically select the best machine learning models for your data and train them to predict sales based on a number of variables. QlikSense can then visualize the results, making it easier to identify trends and patterns in the data. By using AutoML and Qlik to predict sales, you can better understand how weather affects the sales and use the prediction to adjust your inventory accordingly. In this example, we're using temperature and precipitation as the independent variables, as these affect the footfall for many high street stores. We train the model until we achieve at least 70% or above accuracy to have good confidence that the model will continue to provide accurate predictions. We can then present this prediction to other business processes and provide future insight to teams across the business. So why use a sales prediction? So while aiming for 100% availability for products in retail is important, relying solely on this can result in missed sales opportunities and inefficient resource allocation. This is where the sales prediction comes into play. By analysing gap data and combining this with a sales prediction, retailers can gain insights on the potential sales opportunity being missed. With this information, they can accurately predict the amount of inventory needed to meet demand, reducing the risk of overstocking and understocking. In this example, we want to maximize the sales opportunity, not just fill the shelves with products. So I'll give a short demonstration of this insight in action. So here in this dashboard, in this, we can see the overall on-shelf availability. We can see the number of gaps with stock. We can see the predicted sales quantity from AutoML, and we can see the potential sales opportunity. We have a map showing the store locations with sizing and colouring based on their sales opportunity potential. We have the bar charts, which show the opportunity by planogram, and another bar showing the opportunity by SKU. And then lastly, we have a table of data showing the opportunity by branch. On this bar chart, we have the ability to switch between the sales opportunity and the on-shelf availability. Here we can see the importance of looking at the missed sales opportunity rather than pure availability, because here we can see that the availability for the beer and cider planogram is only at 77%, but if we switch to the sales opportunity, the actual most missed opportunity or potential opportunity is in the soft drinks layout instead. This provides an overview for all teams. For example, if a planner or merchandiser in the head office, they could click on a specific planogram. Qlik's associative engine will update the metrics specific to that planogram. And again, if I select a specific branch manager, we see that all of the objects are updated for that specific manager. We can remove those selections and start back to the beginning. And here we can select a specific product, and we can see the company-wide sales opportunity for that product. A real-world example would be an area manager would load this first thing in the morning, select their specific area, and here we can see that there's 3 individual stores. We can see that Daniel can log in here, and you can see that most of his opportunity lies in branch 1790. So he can get on the phone, speak to the branch manager there, and say, "Can you take a look at your overview and view the potential sales and take action?" So the branch manager could log in. Qlik would automatically log their store, and then this would give a complete overview of their on-shelf availability, the stock file availability, and then the morning's gap scan data broken down. So we can see that of the gaps that were scanned in the morning, 23% of those gaps have actually got stock somewhere within the store already. So as a branch manager, I can look at here and I can say, right, with the resource that I've got this morning, I could concentrate my efforts on, I'm going to concentrate my efforts on soft drinks, as that's providing the most opportunity. I click on a specific planogram, we'll see that the go to planogram button appears. I can then click on there and we see the planogram. Here we're using Qlik Sensibility to load a custom map. In this case, they exported planogram images from the Blue Yonder system. A team member can then use the in-store device to hold this up in front of a shelf and see the potential what actions need to be taken to fill these gaps if they can be filled. They can also use this screen to select different planograms. But we also provide extra information on this screen as well. So in this example, we can see that the Wilco fruit is currently an agreed 0, and there's no stock on transit. So there's no stock on the way to the store whatsoever. So the store manager can make the decision, right, I can overface this, so I can use one of these products to fill this gap, which will improve the customer experience and get more product out in front of the customer. In this example, we would probably use this energy drink here for the simple fact that I've got plenty of stock at 84, and the margin rate compared to other products around it is much better. So then results. So then a recent retailer that we implemented this in saw a 10% improvement on shelf availability, which would equate to around £30 million sales uplift per year. That insight will continue to deliver year on year on year. It's not a one-time big bang thing. The AutoML sales prediction is now being used throughout other parts of the business to help supply chain with getting product into store and also ordering from the suppliers as well, based on what we think those sales is going to be. So yeah, thanks for listening. I'll now hand back to James.
Thanks, Gareth. That was great. Really appreciate that. It was great to see the use of AutoML. I know it's a relatively new product at Qlik, so it's great to see it being used, and that there's some real true use cases for it. So let me just get back to my ability to share my screen. So where we're going to, in fact, sorry, we're now going to pass on to Ronan, who is going to take us through the Monnik Dranken presentation, and we'll understand a little bit more now from a supplier perspective, and how they work with a retailer such as Wilco in provisioning of their product.
So my name is Ronan. I'm working with the Monnik Dranken in Oldenzaal. We're located in Oldenzaal. And I would like to take you on our business intelligence journey and see what business intelligence is giving us to make sure that our customers are happy. And let's start with a short introduction. We're a family-owned firm. We have over 4 generations in the meantime in our company already. We started in 1980 with the so-called dog cart. And in the meantime, we're already at 2023, so existing more than over 100 years. We got about 110, a little bit more than 110 customers, and we were awarded the Royal Designation in 2018. Talking about what we're doing, well, we're basically a nationally operating beverage wholesaler, mostly delivering spirits, wine, beer, lemonades to a lot of customers, over 10,000 customers, mostly located in the Netherlands. We use several products for that, and our exclusive imports are coming from over 35 countries. We get more than 9,500 SKUs in our portfolio, and in the meantime, we already expanded our complete firm, and we're having now over 28,000 square meters of service of our premises. So Qlik is one of the main things that we recently started with about 2 years ago, and we slowly expanded that, and our company is asking for it, or basically our customers, our whole business is asking for it. So that's where we got developing. What I would like to take you through is a little bit more about what we're doing. So basically we have 3 pillars below our company. One is the wholesaler part, where we exclusively or basically deliver all kinds of products to our customers, which could be liquor stores, but also supermarkets, also other wholesalers. Then there's a part where we import exclusive brands. A few of them are placed down below. You might have drank one or two, or maybe a little bit more, but they're all coming from AutoZaal. And then there's the part where we do a little bit of brand building. So we're trying to host events, to join events, and make sure that our brands are well known within the Netherlands, and maybe also a little bit outside the Netherlands. So basically, we have a lot of we have an extensive customer base, a lot of wholesalers, but mostly liquor stores doing all kinds of products, like the one mentioned, like Bacardi, Coca-Cola, but also the more exclusive brands, from whiskey to vodka to rum, anything you need. Talking about our sales channels, then, like I said, a lot of our customers are located in the off-trade wine and liquor shops. A part of our business was located regionally. We are the exclusive distributor of Grolsch beer in the region. Then there's a few supermarkets and also some hybrids taking our products. And last but not least, we're also active in web shops. A few of them growing pretty extensively recently. And to make sure to contact with what Gareth told us before, we also, of course, have a problem with stock product availability, whether it's on the retail side or on the wholesale side. We all have this problem, basically. Why is that? I think there's a lot of reasons for it. At the moment, we suffer from causes like the war in Ukraine, as James mentioned already. But also we have our a UK supplier who is suffering from the Brexit effects. So there's a lot of reasons for that, and of course the effect is then a turnover loss and a low customer satisfaction. There's a few reasons, few things we could do to improve that. The most common reason in our company is to increase stock levels on fast-selling products. Make sure to buy more time to solve the availability issue, but of course that has a little bit of impact. One for sure is that the turnover rate is impacted. Then there's also a little bit of tax regulations at our firm, at our size. Customs coming by every single month, just to have a check on everything that's inside our business. Beside the fact that we have the royal consignation, the royal award, we also have a supervising accountant who puts a little bit of rules on us. So we need to make sure that everything we do in stock is checked with him. So that's another risk over there. And of course, as we distinguished, we also have a shelf life and a best before date, which is impacted, or at least it is an impact on our stock level. We need to make sure that everything, all our products are still well worthy of selling, and that's important for us to keep an eye on. And in the end, of course, it also impacts our shelf space. I mean, there's a distinguished amount of space in our warehouse and a certain layout. So shortage of products also impacts that whole operation on logistics and on warehousing. A second action we could take is to look for alternative supply routes. So within Europe, there's a free transfer of products, which is good for us because sometimes we don't have the option to look at our regular supplier, so that we can look within Europe to other suppliers, to alternative suppliers. But that impacts our margin because prices differ every week. Lead times may differ. If we're taking something from our own exclusive supplier, or we're taking things from somewhere around Europe, far away, then that might take a few weeks. So that's something we need to discuss. And of course, the available amount is unknown. We can't just order. We just have to look into the market, what's available. Well, the third action we could take, which is not one of the biggest actions we do. We don't do this that much, but we offer alternative products, of course. Mostly customers want a specific product. That's not always possible. So sometimes we need to offer alternative products. The problem with that, or the issue with that, is that of course there's less predictable sales, and maybe a violation of purchase contracts in a negative or in a positive way. It just depends on what the contracts exist of. And in the end, like I said, we're not meeting customer demands as desired. So that's something to keep an eye on. What I'm showing you on the right side is what kind of Qlik solutions we have to look at that. So what do we do to monitor these things, and how is Qlik helping us in that process? So therefore, we build a few dashboards, and these dashboards help us on purchase, on finance, on all kinds of topics within the organization, to make sure that everybody is knowing what's going on and what we can do about it. And that's the value of business intelligence in our company. So for dashboarding, we use Qlik Sense. We already started developing quite a lot of applications, all having their own value. Few of them are for sales, few of them are for logistics, some of them for purchase and finance as well. So our sales manager can look into what's happening on the sales side, our logistics manager can see what's happening on the warehouse side, and purchase, of course, can have a look at pricing, for example. And like we discussed, the availability of product impacts many processes. So a warehouse manager can look for empty shelves, and marketing department might need to reconsider some marketing actions. That all depends on whether or not something is long unavailable or for a short time unavailable. And then, of course, there's the alternative products that we can use. Make sure that we're notified if anything goes wrong, or if anything remarkable happens. We use a reporting software. In this case, we use Mail Deploy, and it helps us notifying employees on important changes. So, for example, we recently released something where we have a look at the purchasing prices and have a look at the selling prices. And if the margin goes negative because of variation within the purchasing prices, then we get an alert to our purchasing manager, and he can take action on that. Either way, we need to have a look at the purchasing price, or we need to talk with the selling partner. Then, of course, there's the warehouse manager. I'm currently working on that he has an overview of the warehouse KPIs, such as empty stocks, amount of empty stocks, available stocks on different levels. And that's also for him something to have a look at, and so he can take immediate action on that. So basically, that's in short on this case what Qlik is bringing us. Pretty happy with it, and slowly developing into the next step. So business intelligence at our company is definitely helping us moving forward, becoming more data driven, also on this specific case. And I would like to end my part there. Thank you for listening, and let's continue with James again.
Ronan, thanks for that. That's great, and testament to you. I think that you said at the start you've had Qlik there for 2 years, and it sounds like you're touching pretty much every area of that organisation, from warehouse managers to understanding demands on supply, all of these different things with the financial implications. So, and it's great to get the aspects from your perspective, and all the way back down to the retail and what Gareth has experienced in working in a company like Wilco. So so thank you very much for that. We are going to move on one slide if we can. We're going to go straight to the panel discussion, where Steph Camello is going to be our host. So if I could ask all of those people in the panel discussion to turn on your videos and be prepared for some pressing questions from Steph.
Thanks, James.
Thanks,
and
everyone.
Thanks, Gareth and Ronan, for your presentations. Let's see if we have some questions that came in. So yeah, we'll start with the fact that we've seen Wilco's and the Monnik Dranken handle product availability issues. Do you have any similar examples where analytics was applied successfully to store or warehouse operations? Is there anything, Maurice, is there something you can comment on? Do you have any examples?
Yes, I think I do. So during the COVID years, we had a situation in our organization, and actually in our industry, where all of the factories were, or majority of our factories were closed due to COVID. that had a drastic impact on our production capacity in such a way that we would not be able to recover on the backlog of production. So as a company, as an organization, we had to make decisions on, okay, which product do we then produce, when we can produce, and to which customers do we deliver, decisions on strategic customers, profitability customers, etc. It was such a unique situation. We didn't have this covered in our standard dashboards, but so we rapidly created a new dashboard for reporting on this unique situation, and it enabled us to make the right decisions pretty fast because the whole industry, the whole retail market was anxiously waiting on the decisions which products were able to be delivered. So I think that was a good case.
That's definitely something where it was applied successfully then, by the hearing of it. Scott, could you take us to one or two examples that you see in the market and with the other customers you've been working with?
Yeah, so there's thanks, Steph. There is a couple of really good examples that come to mind on this in the retail space. I think the first one is, and both of them are public case studies that you can find on the web and on our customer success page. Urban Outfitters is one. Not the hugest retailer, I think about 550 stores in the US, about 100 across Europe. But basically what they did was started with product sourcing, and then they spread analytics out to store colleagues, and that really helped store colleagues answer both customer queries and enhance that customer service angle. But also it was folded all the way back through the business up to the warehouse as well. And this was used where they could see what was happening at a store level, what were the things that were moving and were fast moving. And it allowed them then to start doing things like planning, to prioritize and to pick how they actually resourced and scheduled certain tasks within there as well. So that was a really good example of that. And the thing that struck me about Urban Outfitters is the talk about consistent data being used right throughout the business as well. And one other one I'll just throw in quickly, Steph, I know we're quite tight on time, was quite an old example, but Lush in the UK, which is a retailer of cosmetics. They talk about 70% of their staff actually having access to that consistent information, and that's all the way through staff, colleagues, all the way up through supply chain as well. And they talk about that. So they had quite a time perishable product series, and they talk about the fact that this insight, the ability to set the supply chain and everything else, saved them around £1 million over 2 years. So whatever that is, about 1.15 million euros over 2 years, just through stock loss in terms of stock going out of date or not being saleable as well. So two really good examples in the retail space there.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks guys. Another question is that over the past years, we've seen more disruptions in the retail landscape. Obviously, the things with the Ukraine war, with the energy prices going on currently, but also we see a shift in the customer demand and the customer buying behavior. Could you tell us a little bit on how analytics supported these challenges, basically, Gareth?
Yeah, so I touched on the gap scan process, and our Qlik has pretty much revolutionized that in one of the retailers we work with. Previous experience at Wilco, using Qlik to support the business's digital strategy has been a major thing. Wilco wanted to be able to put the store stock online. They wanted to be able to support offer a click and collect offering. They also sell products on Amazon, eBay, OnBuy, so various different marketplaces. There is no other tool that I'm aware of that has the ability to bring all those different data sources together, apply the same business logic, and then output something in a coherent one-stop shop place for people to come in and see what the performance is over those various different digital channels. So yeah,
I think this is similar, Maurice, to one of the things you have experienced lately, right? Within ASICS.
Yeah, I think for us a case that we are experiencing is that during the COVID years again, we saw consumers moving from obviously the bricks and mortar stores to the e-com platform because stores were closed, obviously. But now they're open again. We do see shift back, people going back from e-com to regular stores. And I suppose there's maybe an opportunistic response from the retailers about, hey, we have customers back in our stores. However, you know, energy prices, the inflation situation, it constantly is impacting consumer behavior. So what we do now see is that the retail market is pretty flooded with our products, I think, in the whole retail business. And what is now important for us as an organization is to respond accurately. And what is then key is to know what kind of sales levels and what kind of inventory levels is in the retail market to avoid a bullwhip effect.
And I think a partly follow-up question on that. Do you think that the whole COVID situation, but more in general, the people going everywhere, have retailers been able to improve from using the cloud to that extent?
Have retailers? Yeah, that's a good question. If I again look at our organization, I think we were more able now to to access all the data at any location or at any time given or on any device. I think also having the ability to connect with our let's say our retailers through DI, have that data shared on the cloud, that helps tremendously. So yeah, it does bring internal and external data faster to the end user, a lot faster and a lot easier.
Are these the same things you see in the market, Scott, when you look at it from more overlaying perspective?
Yeah, very much so, Steph. I was just listening to Maurice and just expanding the Urban Outfitters case. That was all built up during COVID as well. And some of the things that they did was they wanted to migrate. The kind of COVID accelerated their migration to the cloud. So that was from a point of getting data from on-premise systems into the cloud and also getting analytics into the cloud. And they had a couple of attempts to do this. It failed. They used Qlik's data integration capability basically to use that consistent change data capture, and they describe it as being a stream of data, or kind of constant flow of data to the cloud rather than large bulky batch overnight processes. And the benefits that they found were several fold from moving to the cloud. Was one, that this data was just, because of the way it was available and constantly fed to the cloud and streamed to the cloud, it meant they could start certain processes earlier rather than having a very sequential processing of dependent tasks. So they could actually get data available and combine that with other sources of data much quickly across all facets of their business, just to get better insights earlier. Also as well, it was interesting because what they said was it reduced the volume of paper people took to meetings as well. So it was a huge volume. As soon as they got that trust, people didn't carry in, I'd say, reams. I don't know if that translates to everybody, but large amounts of paper they'd take in. It would take ages to do that. Whereas again, they could do it electronically through dashboards and through sharing of that information. And the interesting thing as well, the migration to the cloud meant that they no longer had to size their platforms for the busiest time of the busiest hour, where they had peak periods of people looking at platforms. For them, they talk about the fact that they now just don't care about that. They try and push as many people onto it, because when they get people collaborating on the same data, they get much better output and results from that. So they're all from benefits from migrating to the cloud on there as well.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Scott. Thanks, Maurice. A question popping up: how data literate is your organization, Ronan? And how do you support this?
Good question. I think we're still a little bit discovering everything that could be done with business intelligence. I would say in a respectful manner that we might be a little bit old-fashioned every now and then, but we're constantly we're looking for the right way to choose and to go into. Like I said, we're looking to becoming a data-driven organization. That's what we would like. Not taking decisions out of our head or on a feeling that we have, but to make sure that we do that on a data-based event. I think we're slowly making progress in that, but there's still a big step to take. So data literate, yeah, I think we can handle data definitely, but there's still a big way to go.
To what extent is predictive analytics used in predicting demands, and especially when you take in these external factors like weather, holidays, or any other things into account? Gareth, how did you do that?
Yeah, so so we I touched on it there. We've used AutoML to do some sales prediction based on whether an example Wilco with the recent snow, it was a 20% drop year on year in the sales. The normal F&R, the SAP F&R system would have never been able to predict that because it has no concept of weather, whereas the AutoML model can foresee that cold spell come in and adjust its prediction accordingly. We've also used predictions on availability issues, so potential future availability issues. So Wilco is very reactive, seeing low availability, then doing something about it, whereas we've used Qlik to actually, okay, this is the rate of sale, this is the predicted sales, this is how much of the stock is moving through the supply chain at this moment in time. We're not going to have enough to satisfy demand. So then the supply chain, the people working in supply chain can take steps to make sure that availability crunch doesn't happen.
Right. And does that happen in a similar way, Maurice, with you at ASICS?
I wish, to be honest with you, Steph, I wish we would use weather data to be more predictive. In the end, I think our product is let's say, responsive to weather conditions. When people go outdoors, if it's good weather, our products do sell better. Also dependent on, let's say, particular countries in Europe where it's a snow skiing season or not. It has impact on our sales. So we should use that. So it's maybe a good thing for the future for us. Other external factors. Sorry.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see. Holidays and things like that, or like I mentioned, external data from our retailers. We do use that for predictive analysis. And I think the nature of our business, even with internal data, with our transactional data, it does give us some predictive capabilities.
We got another question which is basically connected to this one, and that's how important is the data quality if you set up AutoML, and if bad data quality, is that something that AutoML could help improve? And I think, Gareth, that's more to you then, since there is more knowledge on your side, I guess.
So data quality is very paramount when using AutoML to ensure that you're training your model on real-world examples of the data. We can do some data smoothing, so we can remove some outliers. An example of that this year would probably be the King's coronation. So that would be an outlier for the day's sales. It may be 100% less if you close the stores for the day, or the day before that maybe a significant increase in sales due to people buying things in knowing that the stores are going to be closed. So we do look for those kind of outliers and kind of try and strip them out of the model to make sure you've got a very good baseline to work with when you're doing your predictions.
Yeah, so you're basically focusing on data quality in order to get something out of the machine learning, which is properly usable, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Another question is, could parts of the replenishment process be automated? I think this is more a generic question. I don't know who to ask it, actually. It might be Ronan or Maurice or Gareth, but who wants to?
You could certainly do some replenishment automation. A lot of big retailers already have some sort of system that does the automated replenishment, but you still have teams overseeing that. I know SAP has an offering forecast and replenishment. From a Qlik perspective, to actually do the ordering, I don't think you would use an analytical tool to do the ordering, but you can certainly output a file for another system to pick up. So for the sales prediction, for example, you could have another system that would pick that up. But yeah, I wouldn't use Qlik as a replenishment tool to actually do the ordering itself.
Yeah. Okay. I think also seeing time, I would like to wrap up, and actually I would like to finalize this with one last question. What are the top things on your wish list to get implemented in your analytics setup? Ronan, perhaps to start with you.
Well, I saw a beautiful program from Gareth earlier. I think that's something that we would like to do as well. I know Qlik is definitely capable of it. I think I heard Trimer has some experience with that as well. So what I would like to do is have a planogram or a floor plan of our logistics of our warehouse, and to use some heat maps and maybe, well, you know, find a way where to put our items, where to put our products. I think that's something that's on my wish list, most definitely.
All right, nice, good to hear. Maurice, anything on your wish list or multiple things?
Yeah. Well, weather, to incorporate weather data, that would be really helpful. And I think what Ronan displayed, he was mentioning alert management in his dashboarding. So I think it's good that a dashboard is nice, but if it's really triggered for action, that is I think a really good an attribute that we need to look into. And also the distribution of reports. I think I like that one as well. So to really you know, trigger the user to go back into the reporting tools, to let's say increase the adoption of Qlik.
Okay, cool. Scott, from a more generic perspective, are these the things that you see that more customers are demanding, or is it not on the top list? Are these guys just making something up? Or
No. So it's really encouraging to hear. I think we talked a lot about AutoML, and you've seen that. But I think there was 3 points that I think we hear on very broad terms that come across. I think the first one, which Maurice has just mentioned, is the ability to actually manage by exception across a whole range of different, and be notified across different channels. Not necessarily have to sit and live in a dashboard, but to be notified by an event, whether that's on a mobile device or whether that's through things like Teams or Slack or wherever you spend your working day. I think the second theme is different and new ways to actually engage and get information out of the analytics tool. So I'm thinking much more about how we can answer natural language type questions, or even generate output and commentary in natural language format as well. Some people consume things visually, some can consume them through text. So the more different options that we can give people, the better for that. And I think the other piece, which probably goes slightly against what Gareth said, is, but it's more of a general theme, is how do we actually integrate this, the analytics more into the workflow as well? So not just necessarily inform on the action, but actually compel the action and make it easier to do that. I think the thing we see with a lot of organizations in retail and in other sectors as well is when they find something, they have to actually step out of the system and then take some other action. Whereas what we're doing as a continual development is how we can extend analytics into other platforms, be that trouble ticketing systems, be that ordering systems, be that into things like Teams as well. So those are the kind of broad themes that we see from retail customers, and probably beyond that as well. So those are the things we see, Steph.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Seeing the time, I think I need to head back to James. So thanks guys for taking part in this. James, over to you.
Thank you, Steph. Thanks, guys. That's great. It was, what was nice for me is that we've brought 3 or 4 people together here from different organizations, different retailers, different types of retailers, and actually learning from each other in terms of things that you might steal, in terms of ideas and in best practice and stuff. It's great to see the AutoML piece being aired. So that was great. So yeah, thank you everyone. Scott, thanks for pulling out some of those things for the case studies. Urban Outfitters is one I've heard about before from Qlik. Yeah, so I'd encourage anybody to go and find that case study on the Qlik website, or come to us and we can certainly provide it for you. I'd like to thank all our panelists today. So thank you so much for your time and putting the effort in. Our attendees, so thank you for joining. We will follow this up with an email to everyone, and you'll be able to pick up a recording that you may want to share with colleagues and anyone else. So thank you so much for today. It's been a pleasure.